folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen. This week we're doing another movie review. This is Wakewood, released in 2009, directed by David Keating. It is a Hammer film production, starring Timothy Spall, Eva Birthistle, and Aidan Gillen, who you might know from The Mayor of Kingstown, one of my favorite new shows. So yes, Wakewood is the first Hammer film production in 30 years, part of the relaunch back in 2009. They have since gone under new ownership, but this regime managed to pump out a few films, to varying degrees of success. This film had a very low budget and a very small release, but it did get some critical acclaim. So the best way to describe this film, I would say, is it's a cross between The Wicker Man and Pet Sematary. So if you love those films, you might enjoy this one. So the film follows this young couple by the name of Patrick and Louise. Patrick is a veterinarian and Louise is a pharmacist, and they have this young daughter by the name of Alice. She's about 9 years old, and a tragedy happens. She's killed in an accident. She's mauled by a German shepherd and kind of ripped apart. Very traumatic event, obviously, and they kind of try and pick up the pieces and move on with their life, and they move to a very remote location in this town called Wakewood, which is in Donegal, Ireland. Beautiful place. I have family there, actually. So the beauty of Ireland in the backdrop kind of makes up for the small budget. Because you got these grand landscapes, while they're in this new town, they kind of meet some of the villagers, and they find that they're kind of strange and quirky and weird. And one night, they're driving along, and they kind of break down in the car, and they run off the side of the road. So they go around looking for help because they probably don't have AAA there. And they stumble upon the house of one of Patrick's colleagues from work. Nobody answers, so Louise kind of goes around to the back, and she kind of stumbles upon all these villagers gathered around and taking part in this weird kind of pagan ritual going on. Like, what the hell is going on? So they kind of run away scared, and they wander off. So when they get there, their colleague, Arthur, is sitting in their house waiting for them. And he's like, you guys okay? Do you need help? I heard you were at my house. And, Patrick's like, what are you doing here in my house? So he just keeps saying, is everything okay? Do you need help? Are you all right? So Patrick kind of storms out and takes Louise, and he's like, we're getting out of here. We're leaving this town. You people are freaking me out. So Arthur hits them with an alternative, saying, well, I can help you. I can bring your daughter back to life for 3 days, so you can say your goodbyes. You never had a chance to say your goodbyes, so this would be a perfect opportunity for you guys to share your last moments and, see her again, hold her again, hug her again. And that's an interesting thought, isn't it? What would you do to have your loved one back who had recently passed? So the stipulations are they have to be dead within a year, and you have to get a piece of their body for the ritual. So they go digging up her grave. Can you imagine? I don't think I'd go to that extent to dig up my own daughter, But who knows? I've never been in that situation, so you never know what you would do. So they do that, and they also have to have the body of a recently deceased corpse. So this guy dies on the job, while he's at the farm, and they use his body to basically bring about the rebirth of their daughter, Alice. It's a very strange ritual. They, pour mud on them and stuff, and they freeze them, and then they crack it open, and they pull out her body, and she's reborn. Alice is reborn into the world, and they are delighted. The parents are delighted to see her once again and hold her and tell her how much they love her. And, she seems pretty normal, She seems perfectly fine once they wash all the blood off her, This is a pretty gory film, though, I must say. So if you're squeamish, this might not be the one for you, so it is pretty gory. But yeah, everything seems fine, and they're having such a wonderful time with their daughter that they don't want to give her up. So remember, they only have 3 days to spend with her. They're supposed to, share some last moments and then say the goodbyes, and that's it. But they don't follow the rules. And you know what happens in horror movies when you don't follow the rules. Bad things start to happen. And Alice starts to change a little, She's not quite right. And things don't go well, She develops kind of a murderous tendency over time, And one thing happens, they try to take her and leave town, so they don't get caught, and they think they're going to just get away and, live happily ever after with Alice, but obviously that ain't going to happen, because once they get to the city limits, she starts to bleed, and she starts to get her injuries again that she sustained from being mauled by the dog, and she collapses, and, they have to try and save her life once again, So yeah, they can't leave, because that's part of the ritual, You're dealing with these sadistic forces, stuff you're not supposed to be messing around with, and there's consequences, obviously, when you don't follow the rules. So Arthur finds out that they tried to get away, that they tried to leave, and they're like, well, alright, well, you have one more day, and that's it. It's over. So you get this crazy, wild conclusion. It's a real interesting idea, isn't it? Because it's like, what would you do, if you had your loved one return for 3 days? Would you do the same thing? Try and, keep her, because you love her, and, that's your daughter. You don't want to give her up, and it's really well done. It's really well played out, very well acted, and yes, it's surprisingly good given it's kind of a B movie, a low budget film, but yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I think it's worth a look, so definitely check out Wakewood from Hammer Films from 2009, directed by David Keating, and filmed in the beautiful location of County Donegal, Ireland. So yeah, interesting. It's a Irish Hammer film for a change, not set in England, and set in Ireland, so that's something different. So definitely check out Wakewood from Hammer Films. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Good evening. evening, folks, and we got some brand new merchandise for you over at www.thehorrorkona.com, and that's CONA.com. Representing the Horror Corner. Great new design. We got the Morbid Hour live stream there, you got the Horror Hangout live stream there, and you got my nemesis, the Dark Fate. So grab your t-shirt over at www.thehorrorkona.com. And we also got this beautiful new mug. Look at that. Very, very cool. Thought that came out really nice. So grab your merchandise today over at www.thehorrorkona.com.